The couple's massage confirmation wasn't for us. I took the appointment anyway. Hook. The email subject line said confirmed. COUPLES massage, and the first name on the booking was my husband's. The second name was not mine. The spa thanked you too for choosing the rooftop suite with aromatherapy enhancement, a phrase so polite it made my teeth itch. The confirmation arrived in our shared inbox because I pay for the annual plan. He tried to forward it to another account, misfired, and the line knocked politely. My name is Ben. I'm 35. I write copy that sells patience to people who want speed. My husband is Marco. He runs private dining for a restaurant group, which is to say he tames strangers with lighting and promises. We've been married 4 years, excellent at the logistics of care, coffee placed exactly where a hand will reach, the good glasses used for water because ceremony should pull its weight, a kiss on the way out that never auditions. We are less excellent at heat. We have let our fires study abroad. The spa sits on the 12th floor of a boutique hotel that believes citrus can absolve you. I went early and lied to no one. We're both here, I told the receptionist. He'll be up in a minute. Her practiced smile read the room like a map. 2 robes, 2 glasses of cucumber water, 2 therapists with names that sound like permission. Marco arrived in the elevator with a man whose mouth looked like it had been forgiven in fluorescent lighting and worshipped under anything warmer. His shirt sleeves were rolled to the degree that makes statutes relevant. He didn't pretend not to recognize me. He saw me and palmed his surprise like a professional, then did something I needed him to do. He stepped back, ceding heat without performing it as charity. Armin, he said, not offering a hand. I'll wait downstairs if that makes the most sense. You booked the rooftop suite, the receptionist chirped with the kind of mercy hotels train into people. We'll take you up now. I looked at my husband. He didn't reach for me, which was the new thing and almost enough to make me forgive him for the old ones. His mouth did the wreckage I rely on him for, no rehearsal, just the truth trying to find a chair. I was going to tell you, he said, and the sentence sat between us like a low table with sharp corners. Tell me in the room we paid for, I said. The rooftop suite was a glass cocoon with a view that made the city look obedient. 2 heated tables, a tray of oils that had studied grammar, a shower that could hold a small choir. The therapists introduced themselves, then vanished with the discipline of people who know when to stop being witnesses. Armin hovered by the door, hands open like a man auditioning for decency. Do you want me to leave? He asked me, and it's still astonishing how erotic that sentence is when a person means it. Yes, I said, because speed is the only kindness strangers deserve when your furniture is making a statement. Thank you, I added, because my mother raised me with hinge polishing as a creed. He nodded, brushed past me with heat polite enough to be weather, and put 2 fingers gently against Marco's knuckles. Punctuation, not claim. The door side shut, and the city pretended not to have heard. Marco didn't touch me. I didn't touch him. The room breathed eucalyptus and guilt. Outside, a pool made a hush traffic sound that wanted to be a metaphor if I'd let it. You kissed him, I said, because there are sentences you put on the table before anything else is allowed to sit there. Twice, he said, refusing to rehearse. Once because I wanted to be chosen without auditioning. Once because I wanted to hurt us hard enough to move. Both times I thought of you. Both times I kept going. I set a hand between his shoulder blades, the exact square where lungs can be persuaded to behave, and pressed until my own breath remembered it had a boss. We kept it decent because some cameras are always imagining you, and explicit enough that the window learned our names. My mouth found the place beneath his jaw where my name lives even when I've been lazy with upkeep. I don't want to audition for your forgiveness, he said into the towel at my collarbone. I want to be chosen and then worth it. Then stop renting rooms to make meaning, I said. Take me to a window we don't have to check out of. The therapists returned before we undressed the wrong truths. They arranged sheets and faces with the tender confidence of people who see everything and learn to forget strategically. We lay on parallel tables, my eyes on his, and let strangers' hands do what our pride hadn't, teach our bodies to stop clenching. My therapist worked my right shoulder like she was negotiating a ceasefire. His pressed the long muscles along his spine until his mouth performed the smallest surrender. The oil smelled like forests that still forgive you. Any pressure issues? My therapist asked. Only the obvious ones, I said, and she made the polite sound professionals use to let humor be medicine. After, we didn't shower there. We dressed like men who know what it costs to be seen naked in the wrong room. On the elevator down, Marco stood half an inch closer than he usually does when he wants me to remember we own gravity together. In the lobby, Armin sat with a glass of water and a posture that apologized for being witness. He looked at us and didn't flinch. I'll go, he said to Marco. You owe him a better room for the truth. You owe me nothing except leaving, I said. He nodded once, and in that nod was a skill I can't hate, a refusal to steal the last word. He went. Outside, the air had opinions. We walked the 10 blocks home because walking is the only ritual that doesn't ask for reservations. On our street, the lamppost that has been misbehaving for months flickered like it was trying to audition for hope. Marco laughed at it with the fondness he reserves for broken systems he believes can be coaxed into function. At our door, I did a thing that looks foolish until it saves a life. I taped a square of blue painter's tape to the kitchen window and wrote 807 above it with the pencil that lives beside the calendar. It's our liturgy lately. 4 minutes of breath with a hand where breath listens. 3 minutes of inventory. 3 facts, 2 fears, 1 want. No prosecution. Then water in the good glasses, because small ceremonies are what keep you from outsourcing your marriage to scenery. We practiced it that night. At 8:07, he put his palm between my shoulders and my lungs obeyed like they were proud to be given a job. We didn't narrate the city's affidavit, sirens practicing remorse, elevator cables negotiating theology, someone laughing like they'd survived on purpose. At 8:12, we said our facts. At 8:20, the glasses clicked and learned English. The erotic part wasn't a table or a sheet. It was obedience done with tenderness, mouths remembering how to say names like addresses. It wasn't tidy. Twice that week he was late and the old monologue in my throat powdered its nose and demanded a microphone. I made it sit in the hall and listened to the refrigerator. Once I saw Armin outside the restaurant, tie loosened to the illegal degree, laughing with a woman whose earrings looked like punctuation. He lifted 2 fingers whether, not invitation, and I nodded because spite is expensive and I intend to retire loved. At 3:15 the next day my phone delivered a push alert no app will confess to authoring. Listen to 11 seconds of water. Present/bus stop, I texted. Present/expo line, he replied, which is hospitality for I'm up where the weight is, making sure nothing falls on you while you walk underneath. We fought in lowercase like citizens. I asked why applause keeps convincing him it's oxygen. He asked why I polish our dignity until it slips through my fingers. I said I'm tired of writing copy for our marriage that reads like compliance. He said he forgot he could ask me for noise. We traded sentences small and accurate and heavier than shouted lies. He said Armin's name twice without flinching. He said mine like a metronome until the inch behind my sternum punched in for its shift. A week later, the spa sent a survey. How was your couple's experience? I typed. Your therapists are saints. Your glass walls are complicit. We're moving the ritual to our kitchen. I didn't click submit. I read it to him at 8:20 while the water did its small, reliable hymn, and he kissed me like a man who wants the feedback loop to be physical. We kept the rooftop key card in the drawer labeled miscellaneous, which is another way to spell maybe, and also a museum for small artifacts of what we've survived. He started bringing home less flattery and more inventory. When he had to work late, he sent present pass after the last check, and I learned to prefer present to sorry when it's honest. The window square taught our shoulders to relax on command. Obedience turned out to be erotic if you decide you're both in charge. Armin texted once more, a sentence with a period and no plea. He's the kind of man you can be inconvenient for, be expensive to quit. It was the adult version of grace, and I took it like medicine. We had relapses. One night his phone lit the room at 1:23 a.m. with a name I didn't like. He let it ring out loud on purpose, a tiny performance of loyalty for the camera we don't own. Another afternoon I kept my headphones on while he tried to tell me a fear and he had to say my name twice. We are still men. The ritual holds even when we don't. A month later, the restaurant group hosted an auction on a terrace with fairy lights that pretended to be currency. Marco ran the room with the competence that made me fall first. He saw me hovering near a table of silent bid baskets and did that small, generous thing. He put his palm on the back of my heart in public, quick, nothing for the cameras, everything for my animal brain. Across the terrace, Armin lifted 2 fingers, whether again. I answered with the same economy. We had all learned our lanes. On the walk home, we stopped at a fountain because water is bossy and I needed its advice. Marco leaned against the rim and told me the thought as it had been born, the first DM arriving like harmless flattery, the second tasting like permission, the room he rented for honesty turning out to be a mirror that only showed one of us at a time. He didn't make it a parable. We kept it unpoetic on purpose. We touched without arguing, and the fountain decided to like us. Back in our kitchen, the blue tape square had started to curl at one corner. He pressed it flat with his thumb while I refilled the glasses. At 8:07 the hand found its post and breath agreed. At 8:12 we inventoried. At 8:20 the glasses clicked. The erotic part lived there, in repetition done like devotion, in names said like taxes paid, in the small work that keeps a room ours. People ask, as they always do, at bathroom lines and under misbehaving streetlights, whether there was a villain. They want me to point at a man with forgiving wrists, or a spa that flatters infidelity, or a husband who outsourced urgency to aromatherapy. The truth humiliates us evenly, which is the only kind worth spending. The villain was the version of us that believed heat could be scheduled and romance subcontracted to rooms with better lighting. The miracle was repetitive and small. Knock on our own door, say where we are, put a palm where breath listens, count to 60, try again. The erotic part wasn't a sheet warmed by a kind stranger, or a door that opened green at a lie's touch, or a glass wall that pretended to keep secrets. It was water in the good glasses clicking like a language we finally agreed to learn. It was my name in his mouth at the windows blue, spoken like rent paid on time. It was a hand on my back in public like a tip slipped to a god I can believe in. Last night he booked us something cheaper and harder, 2 hours at home with the phones off and the hallway lights set to wake when we open our own door. He printed the confirmation and slid it under the magnet shaped like a dumb fruit we bought at a street fair. For 2, it read. Location, here. He put his palm between my shoulders, and for a minute the window forgot to be glass and just let us through. We didn't narrate. We let the room earn its keep. Tonight at 7:58 I'll set my phone face down like manners are still a technology worth installing. At 07 his palm will find the back of the heart and the city will attempt its affidavit outside. If we miss, we'll try again. 8, 17, 10, 10, 11, 11, whenever Mercy clocks in. Somewhere a receptionist is printing a confirmation for the wrong 2 names. Our door knows our knock. It keeps opening when we ask it to.